I made a video yesterday exposing the Weasle for being biased against Alexander Volkanovski in his video called Who Really Won Makhachev versus Volkanovski. The Weasle has since responded to that video. This is his response on screen right now. It's pinned at the top of the comment section on that very video, and we're going to go through it in today's video. I left a reply on this comment that he has seen where I said, if you don't take down this comment within 12 hours, I'm going to massively embarrass you on my channel. It's hour 13. The Weasle has opted in to be embarrassed, and I'm about to embarrass him. Okay? So he types, and we can read this out together. I like you, Guru, and your content, but I looked at everything over again just to make sure I didn't miss anything, and literally every shot you showed here does not land if you carefully look at it. I thought maybe you did find something I missed, but no, it's the same stuff I already saw. So he's concrete that everything I showed in this video is either mistaken or he is correct on that regard. Okay? Other than a few here and there. And then he goes on to list, and what we're going to do in today's video is going to be really fun. He lists basically every single point in the video I have, and he either has a rebuttal for it and explains it, or tells me I'm wrong, or actually agrees with me a little bit, is what he's going to do. Most of them, though, 90% of them, in my opinion, before we even start this video, are him doubling down on his delusion. Okay? So we're going to look at what he says, and we're going to go to that moment, and we're going to play them side by side, because this is going to be really, really fun. So we start straight away. I gave you the chance, Weasle. You had your chance, but you're done. The punch is literally a slap punch, where he's connecting with the palm side of the fist. I say in my video here, regarding this punch that you can see on screen right now, that Volkanovski's punch was described as a slap punch by the Weasle, where he lands with the open side of the fist. My take is, we don't know if he landed with the open side of the fist, because we can see the glove. So who knows how well this shot landed? To be honest with you, if it did land with the open palm, I think it's very rich to describe perfectly the quality of a shot that you can't even see. That's very interesting to me. He then goes on, though, on another part of this fight, and the reason why I've stopped at this still frame is very interesting as well. We go back to the Weasle's comment because, trust me, watch this whole video, he gets worse and worse with his delusion. Watch this. The hook was a straight, he says. Schooled me there. My bad, it was a straight punch. Cool. And if you go by frames, you can see the punch go past Islam's head and not connect, but it's hard to see in real time. How about we go by in frames of that punch and see if it goes past Islam's head and doesn't connect? Because we can go frame by frame. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to this. I'm going to adjust the screen again, and we're going to go through it together frame by frame, because maybe we're all blind. Maybe we're all blind. So let's have a look frame by frame. That punch lands on Makhachev, okay? It clearly does. It's clearly touching Makhachev, and does it go past his head? No, it doesn't. It clearly lands on Makhachev and moves his head with the impact of the punch. That is a punch that is clearly touching the face of Makhachev. But again, the Weasle's being this way, maybe I'm blind. Maybe all of you that are watching this punch land on Makhachev right now, okay, are absolutely blind, but you didn't know it. Better go see an optician, because I honestly might be blind. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, Weasle. Maybe I'm blind. Maybe this punch doesn't land on Islam Makhachev. That clearly lands on him and clearly pushes in the ear of Makhachev here. Maybe I'm blind because you say it didn't land. So we move on to another message, which is the knee just doesn't land at all. The knee literally goes past his head. This piece made me think you were being disingenuous, if I'm going to be honest. So I'll scroll up. Maybe I'm blind, but in my opinion, This looks like a knee landing on the head of Islam Makhachev. Now, I'll be honest, when you go to the YouTube video, the frame before and the frame after show the knee not landing with Makhachev's head. Then you skip a frame ahead and it lands on past Makhachev's head. It doesn't land. It looks like it goes past Makhachev's head. However, with Fight Pass, you can pause at any moment in a fight because this was the live feed. So I paused it at a moment where it looked like it definitely connected with Makhachev's head. And to me, that was confirmation that connected with Makhachev's head. I don't know about you guys, but the image I'm looking at right now where I've paused this shows, in my opinion, the knee of Volkanovski connecting on the head of Islam Makhachev. But again, I'll give the Weasle the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I'm blind. Maybe that's not a knee from Volkanovski landing on the head of Islam Makhachev. Maybe we should look at frames where it doesn't show it landing and then say that it didn't land because of those frames. That would be interesting. And keep that in mind because we're going to get to something later on. Okay? We scroll back down to the comments here where the Weasle has continued to put his response. And I scroll along. We move on. The 2 punches did not happen. The first punch you were thinking of literally goes past the head, but why not show it? The reason why I didn't show it, because it wasn't good enough evidence. And I mentioned that because I had way better evidence in the video, and I didn't even want to go into it. I originally thought that those 2 punches did land, but one of them, you're right, the glove kind of scrapes off Makhachev's head, and it doesn't really connect well when it hits the shoulder of Makhachev. Well done, Weasle. You got me on the 2 little punches in the clinch. Amazing work, Weasle. We move on. Trust me, guys. Stay tuned because this gets crazy. And he really doubles down on his delusion. He then goes, this hook can be argued to be a light, but the reaction of Volk after the sequence can make it look like the hook had more impact. I'm fine with the light. This is the moment where Volkanovski gets hit with a glancing hook as he comes in for an exchange. We've got the Weasle there. He's reasoning with us a little bit here. He's meeting me on the middle on this topic. And he's saying, you know what? I'm fine with the light. Maybe I was wrong. Well done, Weasle, for being mature about that situation. It's all good. We move on. 9:30. The punch literally has impact and gets a reaction from it. Medium strikes are not heavy where they have to be wobbling. The punch also absolutely has power from Islam's momentum running into Volk. I want you to remember throughout this video that the Weasle just said right here in his own comments, medium strikes are not heavy where they have to be wobbling. That sentence insinuates that in order to be considered a heavy shot, the opponent has to be wobbling from the shot. I want you to understand that. Medium strikes are not heavy where they have to be wobbling. The punch also absolutely has power from Islam's momentum running into Volk. We're now going to go to that moment in the fight here. And I'm going to pan the screen over a little bit so we can see it. And we're going to look back at that punch that may have been heavy or not on Volkanovski in round 2. I'm going to skip ahead. We're going to go to that moment. It's after the takedown, after the knee to the head from Volkanovski. And we're going to find that moment, which should be at 2 minutes on the clock in the round. After Volkanovski gets tagged by a decent shot. Nope, it's going to be at 1 minute 31. We skip forward a little bit more. Here's that moment here. Okay, I'm going to mute this and play it. Right here in half speed, Makhachev jumps in with a knee. This left hook, he's still remaining, is a medium strike. Remember that when he judges Volkanovski's strike later on. Glancing shot there. May have landed on the neck of Volkanovski. We can't quite see the quality of which it landed, but of course, we're going to call that a medium strike, despite it not really having an effect on Volkanovski and literally being an arm punch as Makhachev's just cruising forward a little bit. Okay, fair enough. You want to give that a medium strike. All good. We move on to another comment of the Weasle's, which we're going to get to now. I'm going to scroll it back across. Bear with me on this video. We move on. Volk's punch literally does nothing to Islam. Crazy to even argue any more than light for that. I can agree with a medium for Islam's counter. I was debating heavy or medium when I looked at it originally. And of course, he's talking about this moment in the fight here where he says it's hard to argue that Volkanovski's shot is anything more than a light punch. Talking about this one here. This shot from Volkanovski that lands off the face of Makhachev, and Makhachev's left that lands behind it. He considers that a medium, but he gave it a heavy. So we've brought down another heavy strike from the Weasle here. Great success. We don't even know if it lands on the head. It might have landed on the neck. It might have landed on the shoulder because we can't see it. I find it very funny that when we can't see a shot from Volkanovski to the body, it's just a slapping shot that was nothing, light punch. But when we can't see shots from Makhachev, they're the best shots, trust me. He gave this a heavy in his video, and he gave the other one a medium as well. I've just gained testosterone from this conversation. Okay? We're going to go back. I don't know what's happened to my voice, but I'm liking it because I need to be a Giga Chad for the rest of this video. We move on to another moment here, which is that was uppercut, light, not a medium. Fair enough. You can make that argument all you want. All fine. My voice has come back a little bit. It was a little bit of a slip up from me. I said it was an uppercut, was a medium, not a light. Fair play. I literally caught myself in the video and stumbled a little bit because I was like, oh, I just made a little bit of a mistake. You got me on that. He then says, watch the punch in real time. The punch has nothing on it. You have to watch these punches in real time, slow motion, and frame by frame. Also, if the punch doesn't phase the opponent, it doesn't count as if it does. It's all about the damage seen from the opponent, not the form of the punches. You can swing a haymaker, but if it doesn't affect the opponent, then it will be a light. Makhachev touched Volk with that check hook, and I know you've walked it back now, but for you to still be making these arguments and still saying this should have been a medium, and I stand on that, that touch on the chin from Makhachev when Volk was crashing forwards, you gave a medium, which is just crazy to me. Absolutely crazy to me. And of course, he's talking about the moment where Volkanovski lands another shot on Islam Makhachev, a little bit separated from this moment. Trust me, guys, stay tuned because it gets even crazier in this video. We move on to another moment, which is at 1 minute and 20 seconds, or it might even be right around here, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. Yeah, there's the shot. There's the counter from Volkanovski that lands. That's still a light strike from Volkanovski. Frame by frame, there's the shot. Half speed, there's the shot from Volk, but it doesn't phase Makhachev, therefore it's a light strike. There have been shots in that scoring video of yours that did not phase Volkanovski, that he even chuckled at and nodded at, that somehow got heavy and medium strikes from you. Very biased there as well. We go into another moment, and here's where things get really interesting. Who's ready for this one? We're going to move on here. Hard to tell if body shot lands, given the angle of Volk's punch. I can agree, whatever. Camera is tough, but to argue for medium is insanity, he says. Hard to tell if body shot lands. I'm going to show you the body shot that he is speaking about when he says hard to tell if that body shot lands. It's this body shot right here. You ready? This body shot right here is hard to tell if it lands, according to the Weasle. Hard to tell if that one lands. I guess, whatever, the camera angle's a bit tough to see. It's hard to tell if that body shot even lands. Clean body shot from Volkanovski. I don't need a medium from it. I just needed you to acknowledge it in the video. Hard to tell if this lands. There were punches where we couldn't even see it landing from Makhachev, and you were giving him heavies in your breakdown video. Hard to tell if this body shot lands. That clearly lands. That's one of the most delusional takes in this whole video. But you say, whatever, I guess we'll call it a light strike. So good. You sort of like, you tried to fight against that and double down on your delusion, but realized you definitely couldn't. We move on to another moment in this video where it is body shot literally just misses. This is at 16:17. I know about that one. It was literally as I was skipping through. I literally just noticed it as I was skipping through and commented on it. It wasn't even a part of the video, really. Just skipping through, and I said, oh, that body shot as well. But I was like, I didn't know. I didn't want to get into it. So I skimmied over that. But we move on. 1819. Body shot literally just misses. Easy to see if you go frame by frame. Well, we can, and we're going to. Easy to see if you go frame by frame. It does look like it lands, but in real time, it just doesn't. So we're going to find that body shot now that Volkanovski went for on Islam Makhachev. And what we're going to do, I believe this is now in round 3. We're going to go into 3 minutes 57 of round 3. And we're going to find that body shot. Because we have the power to do so now. And the best part is, Weasle, we now have no audio from the commentators. Which is really good when Bisping's on commentary. We have no audio from the commentary. So we can hear if these shots land as well. I know you love that. I know you love that we can be more accurate about this. That really helps your side of the argument. So this body shot doesn't really land. It looks like it does, but in real time it really doesn't. He's talking about this body shot here. Okay? This one here, and as you can see of the crease of the stomach of Makhachev, you can see the change in the stomach of Makhachev as Volkanovski lands this punch. Right there. Okay? That lands right there. You can see the change in the stomach of Makhachev as the punch lands. It hunches over even more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play you audio though. Because you're right, it's a weird angle. So I'm going to play you audio at max volume here. And I'm going to see if you guys can hear if this body shot lands or not. We're going to play that again. Listen. Do you guys hear that noise of a fist slapping into the body of Makhachev? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm deaf as well as blind, Weasle. Can you guys hear that noise? I'm going to play it a little bit faster speed. No, half speed's good. Because it makes the noise a little bit more distinguished. Do you hear that loud thud of fist onto the body of Makhachev? Or is the Weasle just off on that, maybe? Maybe I'm off. Maybe I'm deaf as well as blind. Who knows? Or is that a solid connection to the body of Makhachev with a quality body shot from Volkanovski? You can play that back as many times as you want. You will hear the same thing. Solid body shot from Volkanovski. But we move on because the Weasle's not done there with his delusion. We're going to get into a bit more of what he said in this video. Which is talking about the grazing body shot of Alexander Volkanovski. It literally just grazes. Easy to see. How can you give a medium to a strike that has little impact? Let's break down this body shot as well. It literally just grazes. Easy to see. How can you give a medium to a strike that has little impact? Let's go through that one now on the other slide. And we're going to skip to it and find that moment. And we're going to use audio on this one as well. Is what we're going to do. Okay? We're going to skip through it. We're going to find the moment, which I believe is at 3:48. So right here, or this is the check hook that may or may not have landed, which we'll get to. 3:29. Which is right here. Here it is. This is the body shot that didn't land according to the Weasle. Okay? Frame by frame. That lands right there on the body of Makhachev. You showed in your video this still frame to say that it missed. It lands on the body of Makhachev, and on my original video of this, there's a better still frame of it landing further to the right side of Makhachev's body as well. But let's give it a listen, because I'll tell you what the Weasle says in his comment here, which we're going to go back to in the middle of this. Punch literally gets blocked and pulled on. I'll give you the check hook, whatever, dude. No, you can't hear it, because I was saying in the video breaking it down, you can literally hear this punch if you go and listen to the audio. No, you can't hear it. I went back and listened, and unless I have bad hearing, you cannot hear a punch landing. So I'm going to play you the audio of that very punch and see if you guys can hear it landing. Because again, maybe we're all deaf and blind and the Weasle is correct. That's the circumstances that have to exist. We must be deaf and blind in order for the Weasle to be correct on his statements here. So let's have a listen and see if we're deaf as well as blind. Let's play the audio. I'm going to skip back. No, I don't have to. Audio full volume. Have a little listen. Do you hear a body shot connecting here? Because I do. I clearly hear that noise. And I can go back, listen again. And a thud, and you hear like an oomph from either Makhachev or Volkanovski in that moment as well. So watch him. He frames off, steps in, listen as the punch lands. You can hear a solid connection of a punch to the body of Makhachev. Weasle, I'm sorry to tell you, you need to maybe get your ears checked, because you actually might be deaf. I'm not even joking. If you're being serious there and not delusional, thinking I wouldn't go back and check and have another listen, you're either delusional or you actually are deaf. So I'm going to have to play this again. Listen to the noise. Do you hear a thud of that? And then an oomph from either Volkanovski or Makhachev. Listen again. Solid thud to the body of that from that body shot. I mean, why am I even... I feel like I'm going crazy justifying this. I shouldn't need to be justifying this right now. I feel like I'm going crazy. Listen to this. Clearly a body shot that lands. Good. From Volkanovski. And you can hear the noise of it. And he says, you can't hear that. I went back and listened and you actually can't. Like, no one's going to check? What you giving me layups? I don't get it, man. Why are they doing this? Why can they not just take criticism and accept that maybe they were wrong? We move on. I was debating whether to put it as a medium because of how much he swings, but the punch just doesn't get the impact or a good reaction out of Islam. Okay, this is the punch where Volkanovski catches Makhachev against a cage. So we're going to go to that moment here as well, because I'm going in depth in this video. And trust me, guys, it gets crazier. It gets crazier, okay? We're going to bring this back across, and we're going to go to that moment where he lands the shot on Makhachev as they break from the clinch. Right here, Volk defends the takedown, gets back up, and on the separation, he lands a shot on Makhachev. This doesn't have an effect on Islam. So he debated giving it a medium, but he decided against it, okay? Bang! Straight in the face of Makhachev, full power wind up, boom, and it moves the head of Makhachev as well, who's hunched over and bracing with his hand on the left side of his head as well to stop whiplash from happening. Bang! Straight in his face. He then deliriously reaches for a clinch to try and get close to Volkanovski. Look at his face here. You're telling me he didn't feel that shot? His eyes are closed in this situation. And then he comes back to, opens his eyes, and starts moving away from Volk afterwards. No impact on Makhachev there. But the shots you were giving to Makhachev as heavy, that didn't seem to have an impact on Volk. That's a joke, man. Look at this shot again. Bang. Lands on the face of Makhachev. Makhachev's head comes back. He tries to clinch with Volk. He's looking a bit out of it on the feet. Eyes closed. Mouth a little bit slurred a little bit there. Opens his eyes eventually. Sees Volk. And gets out of there. And moves away with a shocked look on his face. He got caught by that shot. And he felt that shot. If you can't give that a medium, I don't know what to say. We move on to another moment though. Because it gets even crazier in this video. Doesn't get a good reaction out of him. Listen to this comment here. I'm not even going to go into the elbow. You know about the elbow that landed. I'm not even going to show you it because the Weasle owns himself. He owns himself here. Heavy. This is about the elbow that lands on Volk. Oh, no. Heavy does not... This is about the elbow that he lands, yes. Heavy does not need to have the opponent rocked or stumbling. The elbow gets a clear reaction from Volk. I don't know how this is debatable. To debate me, or to debate you, on this point, I bring in my trustworthy ally, you, the Weasle. Because you just said here, heavy does not need to have the opponent rocked or stumbling. You then say, earlier on, which I told you to remember at the start of the video, medium strikes are not heavy, where they have to be wobbling. Well done, Weasle. You played yourself. Okay? Easy work. You 10-8'd yourself in your own comments. I read again in opposite order, in chronological order of this comment being typed. Medium strikes are not heavy where they have to be wobbling. You have to be wobbling to be considered a heavy strike. We move on back to heavy does not need to have the opponent rocked or stumbling. So you change your own rules so you can give Makhachev a heavy strike in round 3. Medium. I can't believe you own. I don't even need to do this video. You owned yourself in your own comment. You know what I mean? Medium strikes are not heavy where they have to be wobbling. Heavy does not need to have the opponent rocked or stumbling. The elbow gets a clear reaction from Volk. Like, you're doing it to yourself here, man. It's so embarrassing. I gave you 12 hours. This is the 13th hour. I gave you the 12 hours, man. I'm sorry. You did it to yourself. You're done. Like, you're straight up done after this. I'm sorry, man. Don't make me do it again after. I wouldn't even respond if I was you, honestly. We move on. I can see maybe a light for hook as well for Volk, able to throw back, but the impact is clearly more than any other light strike, which is why I put it at medium. And this is a moment in the video that I'm going to go to as well. This shot was considered a medium because it was more than any other light strike from Makhachev that he landed. So we're going to go through it. But remember, the Volkanovski punch off the break wasn't a medium, even though that was clearly more than any other light strike Volkanovski landed. But he changes the argument for Makhachev, of course. So we go into this as well. We're going to skip forward to a moment in this round, which is probably going to be at 1 minute 21. Please like the video. This takes so long to do. Is it right here? No, it's going to be at another moment. This is the elbow. It's at 54. It's at 54. Right here. I'm going to show you this shot might not even have landed. I'm not joking about that. I'm going to show you right now. Okay? This got a medium because it was more than any other light strike that was landed. Did it even land, or did Volk move his head out of the way of that? Because I don't even know, man. It doesn't even look like it connects with any power. And also, if you're diminishing Volk's body shot earlier for landing with the open palm, this doesn't land with the good part of the fist either. This lands with those front knuckles. And you took away Volk points for that with the body shot in round 2 and said it was a light strike because of that. That might not even land clean. It might brush him. As Volk's shot might have been cleaner than Makhachev's. Volk's shot straight in the face gets a movement of the head of Makhachev. Volk might slip this. He genuinely might have slipped that punch if you look at it back, frame by frame. It does not get a reaction out of Volk. You said that rattled him. And he swings right back and maybe connects on the nose of Makhachev. We'll say no because it doesn't look like he has that reach to get there. You said that rattled him in your original video. It might not have even landed, Weasle. You Weasle. Why is your name so fitting? Sounds like I'm insulting you, but I'm just naming you. We move back to the comments that he has. It literally lands, but the punch doesn't do much. You froze it before the full extension of the punch, man. The knee you keep talking about as well literally never lands. So, this is the jab, and I agree with him on this. Straight up, I did it live, and I said there was a jab that I don't think landed. And when I was playing through the video, I freeze-framed it, and it looked like it didn't land. And I was like, see, it didn't land. Literally luck of the freeze frame. I'm not joking, it was luck of the freeze frame. But you've owned yourself again here, Weasle. You've done it again. Why did you do this? Thank you for the content, man. It's such good content. So, literally lands. The punch doesn't do much. You froze it before the full extension of the punch. The knee you keep talking about literally never lands. He's talking about a jab that literally touches the face of Volkanovski because there's a freeze frame where you can see that there may be a connection between those moments. There may be a connection between the glove of Volkanovski or the glove of Makhachev to the chin of Volkanovski. So therefore he says you can literally see it in a freeze frame that it lands, but you froze it before the full extension of the punch. Because my freeze frame, I'm honest here, it was unlucky. I freeze framed it, it looked like it didn't land, I went, see? That's just how it was. But this is a freeze frame that shows Volk's knee landing on Makhachev's head. You ain't going to give me points for that though. So when I can show you a freeze frame of Volk's knee landing on Makhachev's head, you take it away. Even in that very same comment, you take it away. But when you show me a freeze frame of Volk's glove touching the face of or Makhachev's glove touching the face of Volkanovski from a jab, that indicates that that shot landed. But I'm not allowed to show you a freeze frame of a knee connecting with the forehead of Makhachev. Owned yourself again. We move on to another comment from you, which is, brother, that's not the technique for the sweep. He stumbles forward from the forearm to the back of the head and from his forward momentum. Mainly the forward momentum. You gave it a medium strike, though, and here's where things get interesting. Are you ready for this? Because he's tried to pull a Weasle move again. You also don't need your fist to land in order to cause damage from a punch thrown. Come on, man. You have to know this. You don't need your fist to land in order to cause damage from a punch thrown. But you indicate that Volk's shots aren't doing damage because he's landing with the open palm of his fist. Okay? That's what you indicate in your argument earlier on in this very comment. Volk's damage was only a slap punch that didn't really do any damage because it only landed with the palm of the fist. We couldn't even see if it did or not, but that's what you said. Now you're saying you don't even need the punch to land for it to cause damage from a punch thrown. You don't need the fist to even land for damage to be caused. But you're taking away points from Volk, saying he can't have caused damage with that. It was with the open palm. So which one is it? Who knows with the Weasle? Either way, brother, that's not technique for the sweep. He stumbles forward from the forearm. Cool. Let's look at the sweep. Let's find the sweep, which is at 44 seconds, I believe. Nope, it's going to be at 35 seconds, which is right here. We're going to find the sweep. Okay? I'm also going to find something before the sweep, though. So forget about it. I'm going to go to your video here, Weasle. I'm going to scroll up on this, which I should be still in frame for. I'm going to scroll up and find a moment in this video where you, Weasle, I'm going to go to 29 and 22 on this video. At this very moment, where Makhachev's forearm glances off the back of the head of Volkanovski and you give it a medium strike. Look at the numbers on the top left of the screen for Makhachev. 7 light strikes and 3 medium strikes. The forearm glances off, 8 light strikes and 4 medium strikes. You doubling up for a forearm shot? I didn't even notice that when I first watched. Why did you respond like that? I have to dunk you again, dude. Why'd you do this? I'm going to get the content out of it. 7 light strikes, 3 medium strikes. Forearm glances off, 8 light strikes, 4 medium strikes. You add on another point for 1 shot from Makhachev. You can't make this up. I didn't even notice this when I first watched. But I did when I rewatched it and self-critiqued myself. And looked back and seen what I missed, what I maybe did get wrong. 7 light strikes, 3 medium strikes. Forearm glances off the forehead or the back of the head. 8 light strikes, 4 medium strikes. Trying to sneak in an extra strike for Makhachev. And I also want to talk to you about this moment as well. Now that we're on this page, I might as well do it here. The sweep from Volkanovski. Okay? You talk about in your comment that we're going to go back to here. That's not technique for the sweep, lol. He stumbles forward from the forearm to the back. Okay, that's not technique for the sweep. You also say in your comment, which is very interesting, that I'm going to get to here, at the end of your comment, right here. At the end, I think you were getting too caught up in the form of punches instead of the reaction from the blows. The form means nothing if they don't damage. At the end, I think you are getting too caught up in the form of the punches instead of the reaction from the blows. I'm getting too caught up in the form of the punches instead of the reaction from the blows. Yet you say, brother, that's not the technique for the sweep. So I'm going to scroll back up, Weasle. I'm getting too caught up in the technique and not the reaction. So Volk's technique for the sweep isn't perfect. But he sweeps Makhachev and takes him off his feet. I'm actually going to show it on this one instead. Sweeps him. You know what, Weasle? You're getting too caught up in the form of the sweep and not the reaction to it, which leaves Makhachev on his ass in round 3, panicked, not really knowing where he is for a second. He obviously knows where he is, but he's lost on the ground for a second, panicked, just got swept off his feet by Alexander Volkanovski. So I hit you right back with your same point that you owned yourself with again. You're getting too caught up with the form of the sweep rather than the reaction to it, which is Makhachev on the ground being swept to the ground. We move back to your comment again, and scroll down here. Jesus, Weasle, what have you done, man? What have you done? Oh, read more. Okay, we're good. We go here. The punch lands on the lats, not the ribs. Pff, have the one. Maybe it landed on the lats, not the ribs. Not even going to show it. Okay, it landed on the lats. Still a shot that landed. But yeah, cool. Again, you don't need a fist to land in order for it to count as a strike. And also, if the fist lands from Volkanovski, which I've shown in many moments in this video, it doesn't count as a strike to you. So for Makhachev, you don't need a fist to land in order for it to count as a strike. But for Volkanovski, if the fist lands not good enough, you won't even consider it a strike, even though it does land. Own yourself. Like and subscribe. See yourself out. I'm going to say this at the end. If I were you, you know what? Maybe I was off on some things. That's what you should say. Come out, say, you know what? Maybe I was off on some things. Maybe I got some things wrong. You know what? I'll try and be better for my next one. I apologize. I have a responsibility to show people who won. And maybe I was off on so many things. Do not respond and come at me again, because I will do this again to you. Don't make me do it again, Weasle. Don't make me do it again. I beg of you. Don't make me do this again to you. You've royally embarrassed yourself here. You doubled down on your delusion. Doubled down on your delusion. And some of the things that you did in this comment here are just laughable. Some of them are alright. You got me on like 2 or 3 things. The lat punch rather than the ribs. The jab technically showing a frame that I just accidentally didn't notice. That actually does show it touching Volk. And also a moment early on, I don't even know what you got me on. But one other, the uppercut was a light, not a medium. And it was literally a stumble of my words. Don't do this again, dude. Because it's just, you don't win this. You're wrong. Just accept it. Jesus. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle Pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.